Just a few minutes into the film Frownland, there is a particular scene that has always stood out to me. Keith, our neurotic protagonist, is sitting alone in his car, waiting for his emotionally distressed girlfriend to join him. Keith wants to be able to connect with his girlfriend's plight, and he wishes he could cry, but he can't. So the audience sits and watches as Keith holds up his eyelids, trying to force a few tears from his eyes. The take is long and unbroken. It's uncomfortable, unique, and very sad, perfectly establishing the tone of one of the strangest and most anxiety-inducing films I've ever seen. Frownland is a 2007 film from one-time director Richard Broadstein, mostly known for his frequent collaborations with the Safdie brothers, helping them write films like Daddy Longlegs and Uncut Gems. Since this was one of Bronstein's first ventures into the medium, it was natural that the cast and crew was very small, mostly consisting of friends, partners, relatives, and other film students. One particular anecdote involves Bronstein and Dory Mann, Keith's actor, meeting for the first time at a distant relative's funeral, which I've always found oddly fitting. The film took nearly 5 years to make, and Bronstein had complete creative control over the project. The film is grimy and amateur. It takes only a quick glance to become aware of the qualities of the actual image, oppressively grainy and muted in color. New York becomes a drab, suffocating landscape of unhappiness. A Frownland, if you will. The film is effectively plotless, more a character study of Keith, his relationships with those around him, and the self-destructive whirlpool of his life.
I'm sorry, that's not what I was trying to say. I just want...
Our introduction to this character is the image of him sitting alone watching monster movies. Fitting, as Keith seems to relate to monsters. He's an outcast, with a natural desire to connect with people, but completely lacking any likable traits. He even refers to himself and is described as a troll throughout various parts of the movie.
She's gonna see a burbling troll in his underwear.
And you're absolutely right about me not pouring my emotional garbage on you. If I was you and some troll just came out of the water and started pouring that...
It's Dory Mann's incredible performance that really sells the character to the audience. The way he holds himself, his hair, his subtle mannerisms, the way he's constantly rubbing his forehead, and his stuttering, disconnected speech patterns are all so viscerally real. And the film forces you to sit with this character. Long, unbroken takes, watching Keith squirm through social anxiety. Dory brought many aspects of himself to the performance, lending it a real sense of authenticity.
I made myself a promise when I was a kid that I would never, ever live under the same debilitation of having to listen to them play the boom boom game downstairs of pots and pans of food that I would never get a chance to eat. Hello? Hello?
Keith's life is a series of social blunders. His relationship with his girlfriend is one of awkward silence and misunderstanding. He tries in vain to get his angry, irresponsible roommate to pay the bills, but every conversation they have leads to conflict.
What? What could you possibly have left to talk about?
So you're gonna pay it?
What are you, deaf? I've told you 10 times I'm gonna pay the bill. In fact, that's all I've been telling you.
He seeks comfort from what I must assume was a childhood friend, far more responsible and put together than himself, but his late-night visits and manic attitude have reduced their friendship to utter contempt.
I'm probably gonna get fired anyway, so...
Well, if you're gonna get fired anyway, why are you waking me up?
He works an unfulfilling job, selling coupons door to door.
I understand that perfectly, and you have every right to understand. I understand that, but you're not just getting some...
These uncomfortable social interactions build and build, a wobbling tower of anxiety and stress, until it all collapses.
You are so backward, man. I have never met a more fucked up, confused, diseased motherfucker. I mean, you are a worthless piece of shit.
I just want to live in a place where the bills are paid.
They are paid!
On time!
A violent outburst from his roommate leaves him a bleeding, confused mess. He tries to find some consultation from his old friend, but he has finally had enough of Keith and also responds with anger.
You're not making any sense. You got 2 minutes to tell whatever you have to say.
That's all I need.
Listen, you have 2 minutes and you're out the door, all right?
Keith is left alone, abandoned and confused on the streets of New York. He seems by chance to be drawn into a hellish party of unwelcoming faces and discombobulating noise. Keith finally breaks down, and in a deeply sad and uncomfortable scene, he sits alone, crying in a dirty stairwell. Final sequence of the film follows Keith catching his breath on a rooftop as the sun rises behind him. It's a refreshing change of pace from the previous scenes, but it offers the viewer no sense of comfort or closure. Things are worse than they started. Keith has nobody to turn to. There are no likable characters, just real ones. There is no hero's journey, no lessons learned. This is a film about real life. Bronstein shows us self-destructive anxiety with a realism that no other film dares to tackle, and asks the viewer if they are willing and able to sympathize with Keith, and what our response to the film might say about us. I've been Eggnog. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you next week.